Well, we'll stay with the case of Chief Afe Babalola and human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi. That's been on for, well, plus a week now, and it's still in court, naturally. There's still a lot of conversation outside of the court, new dimensions coming into this. But what do you make of all of the back and forth? We're going to provide you with some informed conversations on the show this morning. We're joined by a former Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General, Ekiti State, and legal practitioner, of course, Owoseni Ajayi, joins us virtually, as well as the CEO in Justice is Real, also a legal practitioner, Ngozi Dorothy Mloku. Both of them join us virtually. You're welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure being with you.
I know that this particular conversation does not just have national angles to it. There's also the international dimension, people coming out with, WikiLeaks here and there. But let's stick with the national issues as it concerns, the constitutional provisions, the freedom of expression or otherwise, where your own rights end, where mine begins. This is a big case. And naturally, I'd like to begin with you, madam, because you're joining us from Hertfordshire, and there's also the international angle to this. But you are seeing what's playing out. You're seeing all of the conversation online and offline. And I wonder, do you see similarities between the laws here and the law where you are? Because a lot of people have drawn inference saying, well, this is what will have happened there and not here. But speak to us. What do you see?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. From an international perspective, firstly, there's quite a lot of difference. Now, when I say there's difference in terms of how due process, how the West, how we look at due process in this country compared to how Nigeria applies due process. Now, I am quite aware that Nigerian law, there's a civil law, there's a criminal law, there's two aspects to the law. Holding Dele Farotimi, it's very easy to say, oh, it's a civil matter, or no, it's not a civil matter, it's a criminal matter. He's been held under the criminal code in Nigeria, in Ekiti State. It's very easy to argue all of these things. But at the heart of it all is, has due process been followed? You see, has it been followed? Nigerian law is quite complex. I'm sure we all know that. And from this conversation, we'll probably delve into it a bit more. Nigerian law is very, very complex. It's not as straightforward. It's not as easy. The West, internationally, it's a lot clearer. It's a lot clearer. Just uprooting someone from one state to another state to apply the jurisdiction in that state, it's not quite as straightforward in the international spectrum. So yeah, just to answer your question, it's different. It's different how things are done, how it's approached, how due process is applied internationally compared to how it is in Nigeria. Nigerian law it's really broad. It's all over the place. You can say, yes, civil law, Lagos State applies decriminalized, defamation. It's really complex. It needs a wide mind to understand the totality of what we're dealing with here. It's not as easy. It's not a straight cut. It's not cut and dry. Right. So I will I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yes, certainly. And it's good to have these perspectives so we understand that we're not operating on an island. There's lots of examples to learn from, but still Nigeria remains Nigeria. And I'll come to you, sir, because you've had to, use the laws time and again as, the Commissioner for Justice, Attorney General. You're also involved in this case. So when she says, questions about due process and the other part, Nigerian law being difficult all over the place, is that something you also have to contend with? And then we can draw, inferences from this case, Mr. Ajayi. That's for you, sir, Mr. Ajayi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Listeners. I'm here to enlighten the public on the law of libel and defamation. I will be extremely careful about the matter that is in court, in which Mr. Dele Farotimi have been charged to court for criminal libel, because I don't want to be accused of being sub judice, because this matter is in court. there are limits to which we can discuss it. But we can enlighten the public concerning the law of libel and defamation. The law of libel and defamation is both civil and criminal. You can, if there is a publication against your interest or anybody libel or defame your character, the law allows you to opt for two options of resolution. One, you can go civil and claim damages. And the law too has also made it criminal. If you are opting for the criminal resolution of the libel of defamation against your person, you can write a petition to the police by way of report, stating that you have been criminally libeled. It means you are anticipating that that publication may have adverse repercussion or engineer the public against you, which may affect your freedom, which may affect your liberty, which may affect your freedom. You can write a petition to the police. The police, after reading your petition, if they discover that there is a prima facie information in your petition, they will now invite whom I will describe in this instance as the suspect. The suspect can be invited through various means. He can be invited by way of just calling him. Please, there is a case against you. Can you come and defend yourself? They can also, if he refuses to respond to that call, it could be issued a warrant of arrest duly obtained from the magistrate. And if that warrant of arrest is served on him, is obligated to respond to the police call. And on getting to the police, he will also state his own position. This is a petition against you. You have been accused of libeling so personality. What is your defense? If he now put up a defense in his statement at the police station, and the police, after weighing the two, the petitioner's case, his response to the petition, and a prima facie case is established against that suspect, he will automatically be charged to court. That a prima facie case is established against a person doesn't mean he has been found guilty. What that what in that publication? You could order raise justification. You could say, yes, I wrote it, but I have justification for doing so. He is going to do that in the court of law. And in the present case, which personally has become controversial, I cannot see.
At Do You Spain, you have the perfect hire car at just one click. Book your hire car in 3 minutes at the best price guaranteed, with a wide range of cars, which will allow you to have a unique experience with total flexibility. Enjoy Do You Spain anywhere in Spain.
Which personally has become controversial. I cannot see what makes it controversial at all, if not because we are turning it from the law to politics.
All right, Mr. Ajayi.
They are politicizing the issue of arrest of Dele Farotimi unnecessarily.
Mr. Ajayi, if you can hear me, Mr. Ajayi. Can you hear me, sir?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, not to break your thought, but just so, since we're staying with the law, and of course, as you said, It's a subject under adjudication, so stay away from the merit of the case. But maybe you bring to your attention why the public or people that are supporting Farotimi, or people that are reacting to this case are reacting. And I want you to help us interpret it as far as the law is concerned. The first question was the fact that Farotimi had claimed that he was never, ever invited by any court in Ekiti, referencing the fact that he was even petitioned in Lagos, and he gave time and location to where he reported to those locations at the police station when he was petitioned. But never for once was he invited in Ekiti State before he was arrested eventually. So I'd like you to speak to that effect. If somebody that claimed he wasn't invited and then a warrant of arrest was issued against him, what does that say in law? That's on one hand. On the other hand, if as a magistrate court has actually issued this warrant of arrest from Ekiti, can it be effected in Lagos? That's the second part of the question. Third, he has been arraigned in Ekiti. Is it not a bailable offense? Because he wasn't granted bail, and that will be heard tomorrow. So 3 questions in one. If you forget any, I'll remind you, sir.
Yes, let me start from the position of his being arrested in Lagos. Libel is a universal thing. It is not limited to where the person who is accused of libel or defamation resides. Anybody who felt that he had been libeled or defamed, anywhere he used that publication, cause of action arose there. In the instance case, Farotimi published a book. That book has become international. It is read everywhere in the world, including Ekiti State, where Chief Afebalula resides. And he could report that matter to the police in Ekiti State for investigation because he read the book in Ekiti. It was published to Ekiti people. It was published to his university. Therefore, he has the locus to report to the police in Ekiti. And the police, they have the power to get the person arrested wherever he is, anywhere in this country, and invite him to Ekiti State to come and state his own case. In the instant case, the matter was reported by Chief Afebalula to the Commissioner of Police in Ekiti State. And according to information, he was duly invited. When he did not come, then a warrant of arrest, that is due process of the police in inviting a suspect. A warrant of arrest was obtained from the magistrate in Ekiti. That is part of the due process of getting a suspect arrested or invited to come and state his own case in any allegation against him. It was when Dele Farotimi did not come to Ekiti on invitation of the Commissioner of Police. They have to obtain a warrant of arrest, which was duly executed against him in Lagos and brought to the state. Therefore, no jurisdictional procedural error have been committed. Even in the popular case, which you all know, Nnamdi Kanu was even arrested in Kenya and brought to Nigeria to come and face prosecution.
All right, Mr. Ajayi, my apologies yet again. Because of time, just maybe
yes.
the next so that we can bring in the other guests. Is this not
Yes.
a bailable offense? Why wasn't he granted bail?
Okay, let me talk on that. When a suspect is charged to court by the police, the issue of bail is discretionary. It is the discretion of the presiding judge or the magistrate. It could grant, if it's a bailable offense, it could grant the suspect bail immediately. But if there are issues being raised and it's not clear to the presiding magistrate or judge, like the issue of health issue, things like that, he may ask them to apply for bail by motion, which is not new. Most of our governors that are charged to court, even for small offenses, the magistrate will say, I cannot grant bail. Let me hear your application for bail. Go and put up an application for bail. This former governor in Yayabelo, he said in detention, they said, it's a bailable offense, but go and put it in a motion. And that is exactly what the presiding magistrate did in respect of this matter.
Right.
He said from the argument of prosecution and that of the defense counsel, I want the application for bail to be put in writing.
Right.
And this has been done. It's not to be had tomorrow. It has not been denied bail. It is the discretion of the magistrate to direct the parties to go and put the application in writing, in form of a motion, which has been done, and it will be argued tomorrow.
Right, Mr. Jai, pardon me to come in now so we can take this conversation to Ms. Ngozi Dorothy Moloku, joining us via Zoom as well. I think the point about the magistrate court has also been a major point of contention, really. And for those who are raising issues with this, I wonder why magistrate? I mean, it looks like this was already planned, choreographed, and it was just taken right there to Ekiti. But let me come to you, madam. I saw a quote where you said, injustice thrives in Nigeria, rendering many adults desensitized to the pervasive unfairness surrounding them. And this has been the back and forth, really. Your right ends where mine starts. Some say this is not meant to be a criminal issue anyway. And you were trying to talk about what obtains where you're at. But again, listening to Mr. Ajayi explain, the laws, the process, and all of that, does that clear the air to some extent for you?
No, it doesn't. It absolutely does not, from a human rights perspective. And I say this because Lagos State, particularly, libel is a civil matter. It's a civil action. Lagos State, the criminal law of Lagos State, and I'm quoting, 2011, repealed defamation, as they decriminalized it. The case of Dokubo Asare and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, criminalizing defamation is unconstitutional. Now, from the perspective of Ekiti used the Criminal Code Law of Nigeria, which allows Dele Farotimi to be charged to court if he published anything that is libelous of a person or matter. He can then be charged to court. And this is the law that they are standing on in Ekiti, as far as I understand it. Now, the law is very complex.
Just a moment, madam. Just for a moment, let's confirm from Mr. Ajayi if that's the same law they're relying on. Mr. Ajayi, is that correct?
The law is not correct.
Sorry, I didn't get that, Mr. Ajayi.
Yes, I got that contributor.
And just quickly, is that the law we're relying on here?
Yes, because Section 59 of the Criminal Code Act talks about publication of false news with intent to cause fear and alarm in the public. And Section 375 of the Criminal Code Act says that subject to the provisions of this chapter, any person who publishes any defamatory matter is guilty of a misdemeanor.
All right,
and is liable to punishment for 1 year. So
okay, I just wanted to clear that.
Proper law.
Right, would allow her land on her thoughts. Pardon me, sir. So, madam, you can go on. I just wanted to confirm that quickly, but you can go on the point you were making.
Thank you. I think the general consensus here is that the law is complicated. It's complex in Nigeria. There's an angle of the civil law, which I have mentioned already, and there's an angle of the criminal code law, which is what is applied in Ekiti State. Lagos State says it's not an issue. Libel is a civil matter. It's not a criminal issue. Now, he was arrested taken from Lagos State and now charged in Ekiti State under this criminal code law. Now, another thing is, and these are the issues, the fact that he was in Lagos, yes, the book was published and read in Ekiti, but he was in Lagos State. And these are the issues that people have. It is a lack of clarity as to the law, because the law is very, very complex and complicated. And I think from a perspective of this law, the law needs to be reformed. There needs to be a total overhaul of the law so it's clear. It's clear to the layman. And that is why social media is amok. Social media is a buzz because of all these issues. From a layman's perspective, his human rights are being violated. You see, people don't understand that there's the criminal law and there's the civil law. And yes, Lagos State, Ekiti. In Ekiti, the libel hasn't been repealed in Ekiti State. And that's fair enough. We understand this now. But our point here is, as he has been taken and he's been held in Ekiti State, we want his human rights not to be violated, because the complexity of the law in Nigeria is such that when you are arrested, the worst place to be is to be detained in any police station or wherever he's being detained, because it's subject to his rights being violated if we're not being careful. Many, many times we've all seen these happen. There are many cases, many journalists who have been arrested and we just see their human rights violated. So what we're saying is we don't want his rights violated. Right. If he has done anything, he should be allowed bail. The magistrate should have granted him bail because he's not a threat. Allow him bail. Right. Now, once he's allowed bail, we can then say, okay, let the law take its course. If he has defamed Are Babalola, then let the law take effect. That's what we're saying.
All right, Mr. Ajayi, I want you to respond to some of the sentiments being shared by Mrs. Ngozi here. The perception is to the effect that given the stature of the man, Afe Babalola, who has been a lawyer for over 60 years, perhaps is the oldest living lawyer in Nigeria. And of course, this is happening in Ekiti State, and given the way things play out, the fear whether he will actually get justice or it will, fair hearing, if I may, on this one. Is that not a genuine concern? I know you were citing Section 375 of the Criminal Code. It also explains in Section 373 of what it is, and there's even a Section 377 that gives some other explanation, which is why she's talking about clarity. Maybe you respond to this concern people are raising as to the stature of the man, where this is being prosecuted, and all the encumbrances around this to know whether or not he is going to get fair hearing.
It's not just where you eat, it's who you share it with.
Let me first of all clear one point, that the right of Mr. Dele Farotimi is not being violated in any way. Immediately, he was in the police station and his statement was taken, he was charged to court. Issue of argument arose as regards his bail. The presiding majority has the discretionary power to grant bail. Said, please come and convince me in a written form. And the motion has been filed. It will not be the first, that will not be the first court to do that. It is applicable in every court in this country, and we have been seeing it. And I want us to understand one thing, that because Chief Afe Babalola is an icon, doesn't mean if his own right is violated, he must not complain. Because if anybody could lay a complaint to the police for investigation, and that complaint are investigated, and if there is a prima facie case established against the suspect in the complaint, and they are charged, and every day, people come to our chambers every day, and we write petition to the police as regards similar issues like this, and they are violated, and they are invited. And if a prima facie case is established against them, they are charged for. Sometimes they are found guilty, sometimes they are set free. Okay, what is special? In this case of Chief Afe Babalola, writing a petition that look at this book, they said this person wrote severally that he corrupted the system of judiciary up to the Supreme Court. He has rubbished the entirety of the judicial system, involving Chief Afe Babalola in the corruption of the Supreme Court. And you want him to keep quiet, not to defend his right. He said, please, police, look into this matter and establish whether I've actually corrupted the Supreme Court. Because it's an ECON, is it not entitled to its own fundamental right? And because Dele Farotimi, because it belongs to the human rights groups, it belongs to the Aluta group, which I belong to too.
Right. I
was a former president of Ife Student Union. I led students to bombard the Odon barracks, 15 loading loads, when Principal and Bekasi were bombarded, were bombed.
Right.
And African leaders were not responding. So that is our right.
All right.
Therefore, Dele Farotimi should just go to the court, defend these allegations against him. The application for his bail will be taken. And if the court found it fit, it will grant him bail. So these are procedural things.
All right.
I want to emphasize that due process have been followed in respect of the Dele Farotimi.
Following
to manipulate the whole events. It's not fair.
Well, Mr. Ajayi, we have to anchor at this point. Clearly, I think what a lot of people just want is let the same law apply to everyone, right? There shouldn't be a law for certain people and a law for other people. But just quickly, now that particular book has become a bestseller of sorts now. If you can hear me, Mr. Ajayi, that book now has become a bestseller. So more people now have the book, purchasing the book. Some are even giving it out as giveaway, buy 10, give people. So it's a bestseller. So my question is this, if he is found guilty, so what are the options available for redress or some sort of reparation? Can the court say everybody who has bought the book, return the book? Because the book has gone even farther than it would have if this case had not been instituted. Mr. Ajayi.
Can I have that your question again?
My question is about that book now becoming a bestseller as a result of this case. So that book has gone far and wide. People are buying the book, even giving others. Buy 10, give people. So in terms of redress, reparation, if he is found guilty on that assumption, what can the court do to get redress? Will the court say, oh, let's withdraw this book from circulation? Or what exactly are the options available to the court?
Yeah, you see the politicization of this matter, which ordinarily is a legal issue, has further aggravated the damages against Chief Afe Babalola. This is being read all over the world now. And not only that, everybody is now seeing the correct perspective of it. People are now seeing the issue as regards corruption in the court. They are not looking at the defamation against Chief Afe Babalola. They have extended it to corruption in the judiciary. What we are saying is that Dele Farotimi should come and prove this in the court of law, that Chief Afe Babalola actually corrupted the Supreme Court to get judgment in his favor. The case in which Farotimi even complained, he was not a party to that case. He was not a counsel in the case. The motion they argue in the Supreme Court, all parties were represented and the motions were properly argued. For you to have lost your case now and come and libel a counsel who diligently won the case for his client, and you now use your media connections to scandalize the petitioner to the police, I don't think is the right thing to do. He should squarely face the defense and come and establish how Chief Afe Babalola has corrupted the Supreme Court.
And all right, Mr. Ajayi, let's take it to Mrs. Ngozi. Maybe you have your response to him, Ms. Ngozi.
Yes, I do. You know, well, the truth is, as much as, yes, Afe Babalola has every right to go to court, to sue. We're not saying he doesn't have the right to do that. He does. What we are saying here is, you see, regardless of the fact that, okay, he has the right, it was published in Ekiti, he's not too pleased about the comments, his character was defamed, that's fine. We understand. And we're not saying he doesn't have the right to do what he needs to do. What we are saying is, let Dele Farotimi's rights not be violated. And I hear you say, oh, his rights are not being violated. But the truth is, the view of the judicial system in Nigeria is it has been maligned. You know, there's a level of distrust, and the distrust is so high, that people just don't see someone who is deemed an ordinary, quote unquote, ordinary person be getting justice, so to speak. The view is that it's hard to be able to achieve these things. But that's the general consensus, though, because of the legal system in Nigeria. The judicial system, it's viewed as entirely corrupt. And as a result of that, people are just concerned about Dele Farotimi being detained or being held. We have to be concerned. We have to be, because this is what we do. It's all about human rights. Now, from the perspective of Are Babalola, it doesn't look good. It really doesn't. When you put 10 million pounds into an institution such as King's College London, he did that to actually develop African children, to develop the youth, to develop the young. This is not a good sign. It doesn't speak well at all. It smacks of heavy-handedness, a highness. Oh, I can do what I want to do because I can do it. Well, madam, that's what it smells of.
Let me quickly follow up before I go to Mr. Ajayi.
This is what people are talking about. And that is why there's a high level of concern as to his rights. And we will be taking this matter to King's College. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. tomorrow, we are calling on every Nigerian in diaspora, in the UK, to come and join us at the Dixon Poon Skills School
Mr.
of Law.
Ajayi, your thoughts on this, Mr. Ajayi? Pardon me, madam. Mr. Ajayi wants to speak on this quickly. Mr. Ajayi, over to you now, please.
Yes. Socializing this matter. Personally, I find it's unnecessary, because people should talk to the truth. If you want to investigate corruption in the courts, you know the appropriate way to do it. You don't bring somebody that has struggled to become somebody in his life, that has struggled to become an icon. You now love him with it. You lost a case to him. Sentimentally, when you don't have any option, you are not blackmailing the old man, a 95-year-old man. You are not blackmailing him. Using him to expatiate your grievances is the corruption in the court, which you are not able to establish. And we are now asking you, come to court. It's very simple. Come to court, come and establish.
You don't need an expensive solicitor to write your will. Protect your loved ones and assets with a professionally written and...
Come to court. It's very simple. Come to court, come and establish how Chief Babalola has corrupted the Supreme Court.
All right, we have to wind down at this point.
What is human rights violation there?
Right, we have to wind down at this point.
Human rights violated? By asking, come and establish it, how Chief Babalola has corrupted the Supreme Court.
Well, Mr. Ajayi, Mr. Ajayi, Madam Ngozi, we have to wind down at this point.
Is a big man not entitled?
If you can hear me, Mr. Ajayi, pardon me, this is an ongoing conversation, but on a final note, in less than 30 seconds, Mr. Ngozi, if you felt someone defamed you, would you sit back or go to court to seek redress?
I probably would do exactly, depending on the circumstance involved. I would look at the intention behind it. I would look at a few things to see, firstly, I would look at the intent, as I've said. I would also consider if it can be resolved amicably as well. I would consider these things. But I am not saying that Are Babalola does not have the right to sue or to go to court about it. He does. Every right he does. And I think anybody would do that if they had the means to do it. You see, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, let his rights not be violated, number one. Number two, the judicial system, the way it is viewed in Nigeria is that a layman, really an ordinary man, can't get justice. That is how it is viewed. So people are concerned. That is the concern. And like I'm saying, we are going to call for Nigerians to come out to
we have to anchor at this point. We're totally out of time, madam. So yes, this case is in court, but it also looks like the court is also on trial here. But we'll keep following this case. Mr. Ajayi, we have to thank you so much, former Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General, Ekiti State, Mr. Owusheni Ajayi. Thank you for your time on the show.
A parting word.
All right, parting shot, quickly.
Yes, I just want to appeal as a friend to Mr. Dele Farotimi to take the part of caution in this matter. All these people demonstrating in his favor, doing this or that, will not help his case in court.
All right.
He's aware. Everybody has read that book. Chief Afed Babala is a very humane person. Everybody knows him.
All right.
He should take the part of ordinary apology and get out of this mess.
All right, Mr. Jai, we have to anchor at this point.
We are not on this matter.
Thank you very much. We've also been speaking with the CEO of Injustice is Real, Mrs. Ngozi Dorothy Moloko, also a legal practitioner as well. I mean, we have to anchor. Everything should end. Thank you for your time and wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is clearly not the end to this conversation, but we'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll take a breather on the fireworks and bring you some inspiring dose from young Nigerians who are doing great stuff. Stay with us.